The Nigerian Civil War is often remembered just for the fighting between 1967 and 1970. It was a devastating chapter that claimed over 1 million lives. When we look back, it's easy to focus on the immediate triggers. We think of the 1966 coups or the declaration of the Republic of Biafra. However, a deeper look reveals that this war wasn't a sudden accident. It was actually a predictable convergence of domestic mistrusts and rivalries. The war was the logical outcome of two massive forces colliding. It was the result of deep structural fault lines left by British colonialism, mixed with the choices of post-colonial leaders. To understand the collapse, we have to go all the way back to 1914. That's when the British forced an administrative marriage between the northern and southern protectorates. This union brought together over 300 diverse ethnic groups. But it was never designed to foster a collective consciousness, it was just for the convenience of the colonial power. The British applied their system of indirect rule unevenly across the land. In the north, they used centralized emirates, while in the south, they used a direct administration. This created distinct, separate paths of societal development. By the time independence arrived, the constitution had cemented Nigeria into a federation of rivals. Politics became strictly about ethno-regional lines. This elevated the three major groups, the House of Fulani, the Yoruba, and the Igbo, over hundreds of minorities. Perhaps most dangerously, the colonial legal framework planted a ticking time bomb regarding resources. The Crown kept control of all mineral oils. This established a precedent where the central government held the keys to all economic wealth. It turned control of the center into an existential economic struggle. In 1960, Nigeria finally gained independence. The indigenous elite inherited this fragile house, but rather than fixing the foundation, they set it on fire. The leaders of the First Republic engaged in zero-sum politics. They viewed the state merely as a tool for regional dominance. The major political parties became explicit engines for ethnic interests. This played out in a series of disastrous crises, like the 1963 census. That census was marred by accusations of inflation to secure legislative power. It only intensified the rivalry between the regions. Then came the 1964 federal election stalemate. It left the country without a government for 2 whole days. By 1965, the Western region had descended into anarchy following fraudulent elections. Despite the violence, the Prime Minister prioritized legal technicalities over national order. This chaos led to the military intervention of January 1966. General Ironsi took over, ostensibly to restore order, but he accelerated the collapse. Ironsi issued Decree No. 34, which abolished federalism for a unitary system. This terrified the North, who feared Igbo domination. The result was a counter-coup and horrific anti-Igbo pogroms. Simultaneously, the military destroyed the economic compact of the nation. Under the First Republic, regions kept 50% of their generated revenue. The military regime slashed this down to negligible figures, sometimes less than 1%. For the Eastern region, this was a dual betrayal. The central government couldn't guarantee their physical safety, and now it had stripped away the economic incentive to stay. When the federal government reneged on the RBU Accords, the path was sealed. Those accords had promised a return to regional autonomy. For the Eastern leadership, secession became the only rational response to structural insecurity. The Declaration of Biafra on May 30, 1967, was not an isolated act. It was the final consequence of a long historical chain. The war was the inevitable manifestation of colonial fault lines, widened by a post-colonial elite chasing power. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look at the Nigerian Civil War as a product of colonial weakness and post-colonial exploitation, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more hidden history. We'll see you in the next one.